there, guys. Welcome to my channel. My name is Crafty Kathy, and I'm the owner and creator of Kids Vintage Farmhouse here in beautiful Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I just want to thank you so much for stopping in and crafting and spending a little time with me today. My friend Emily over at Farm Charm Chic asked me if I wanted to be a part of a collaboration with her and Lisa the Dollar Mom. And I said, absolutely. So we're going to be doing spring and Easter DIYs. And I started thinking of some things that I could do, and I thought, you know what? I've not made a video for the real meaning of Easter, so I want this video to be that. And these DIYs turned out so pretty, you guys are going to love them. But I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's just jump on into them. All right, guys, let's get started with our first DIY. It is a gorgeous wreath for our door. I got this sign that says Faith, Hope, and Love at Hobby Lobby in their wood section. It has $3.99 on it, but I got it when it was half off, so I only paid $2 for it. And then I have this little wooden cross that's behind it, and I got that at the Dollar Tree. Then I have a variety of flowers, mostly from like Temu and Dollar Tree, and I wanted them to be very light color, like creams and ivories. And then I have this simple willow wreath that I picked up from the thrift store. And I'm going to set that aside because we're going to start working on the wood pieces to start off. Okay, I'm going to put down a quick piece of wax paper because that's how I prefer to paint, because I'm the messiest painter in the world. I got some Dixie Belle stain, and it's called Tobacco Road. It is like a gel stain, and I'm going to use that on my cross. I just put a little bit down and use my paintbrush to kind of go over it. I want it to be a little messy and not so perfect. I'm going to take a baby wipe and just kind of blend that brown all through. And I make sure that I get all the edges. I want to get the sides, and I also want to get the back of this cross because I don't want to leave anything undone on this one. Then I'm going to use that brush that I just used on that cross, and I'm not going to put any more product on it. I'm just going to dry brush the rest of that brown over the words Faith, Love, and Hope. I want it to be very light and very feathery looking. And then I'm going to take my DIY paint in the color Crinoline. It's a beautiful ivory color. It's perfect. It's just what I want. And I'm just going to dry brush this product on also. I'm going to get very little on this little bristle brush, and I'm just going to go over the words very feathery so it just kind of mixes in with that brown and looks like both of the words or both of the colors are distressed. Then I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue on the back of the words Faith, Love, and Hope, and I'm going to situate them on that cross and make sure that it covers up that little hole on the top. Now we're going to start in with our flowers. I'm going to cut each of these off the stems. I have this beautiful white arrangement, and I got it at Temu, and it's got a little bit of creams in it, which is exactly what I wanted, and I'm going to keep it in its own little pile. And then this is another bouquet that they sent me from Temu, and it is a beautiful, like beigey color. You know, it's so pretty. Then I've got these beautiful eucalyptus stems, and I'm not sure where I got them. I think it was at Walmart, but I love to have greenery in my wreaths. Then I have a couple of little single pieces here that I got from Temu. Now, by no means am I a master wreath maker, but I do stick to a couple of very simple principles, and my wreaths come out nice every time. The first thing I like to do when I'm doing a wreath is to start off with some kind of greenery, and I love to use these. I want to say that this is eucalyptus. And these are longer stems. I like for the longer stems to go up toward the top because they just kind of open up and curve around, and they go exactly where I need them to go. And then the next piece of the eucalyptus that I put in there is a little bit shorter than the first piece. And I'm just going to push it down a little bit more than I did the first one. I'm almost doing like a step down technique. The first piece was the tallest one, And this one could be considered, I don't know, maybe a middle-sized piece of eucalyptus, but I'm kind of going down in sizes as I go down this wreath. The next thing that I'm going to add is going to be these lamb's ear, and they come from Walmart. It's my favorite lamb's ear. I think it's very realistic looking. And I cut it off at the very bottom of the leaves there. And I'm going to place one on the right side and one on the left side in the exact same spot. And that's another one of my things. I always like to use 3 different colors of greenery because I think it brings your eye into the whole piece. And I always do the same thing on both sides. For example, you see I put that one piece of lamb's ear on the right side. I'm putting that exact same piece on the left side. Also, with the eucalyptus, I put the exact same pieces on the right that I put on the left. It just is cohesive, and it just makes your wreath work that way. I did take one piece of the eucalyptus here, and I'm going to put it in the bottom of the wreath just because I wanted just a little bit of greenery down there. Not a lot. It's just kind of going to be an afterthought, if you will, like a background piece. Then I take my last 2 pieces of the eucalyptus and pop them in the very top, and they were the smallest pieces that I had. Now, these different bouquets that I had, I kept them in their own little piles after I cut them up. And this one only had one of these roses in there. And guys, if this is not a rose, don't come after me. I don't know my flowers from Adam, okay? I just don't know. So I think it looks like a rose to me, so I'm going to call it a rose. It did have these 2 that have the little 2 pieces, the little 2 smaller ones on it, you see, and I did put one on the left and one on the right. I decided to put that one single piece kind of up front on the right side. Now here I go in with what looks to me like azaleas. And there was 2 of those. So you notice I put one on the right and one exactly across from it on the left. And then there was just this little piece of like greenery with a little bit of baby's breath. And I stuck it down at the bottom right there beside that other piece of eucalyptus. Now these that I'm putting in are just random pieces that was in a box that came from Temu. It had like 12 different flowers, different varieties. And since these are the same flower, I put one on the left and one on the right at the very top. And I don't know why it is, but if you do the same thing on the left that you do on the right, it's like your mind recognizes it when it looks at the piece and it knows that it's cohesive. And here I'm just kind of fluffing everything out and making sure everything looks good. Now, when I'm doing my wreaths, even though I do the same thing on both sides, I very often go through and just fluff everything and kind of look at it, step back and look at it and make sure it's the same. And here I'm showing you, see the top 2 flowers are the exact same flower, and then we have the eucalyptus, then the things that look like the azaleas, and then at the bottom I have what I call the roses. It may be some type of a peony, but guys, I really don't know my flowers that well. And I'm taking these little flowers here that came off of a different bouquet. These were also from Temu, and they are a cream color. It's the same flower as you see. So I'm going to put one on the right side there. I put it toward the outside part of the wreath. And then I'm going to put the exact same flower on the left side there in the same spot. Now, I do believe that if you add too much stuff to your wreath, it starts to kind of look tacky. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes less is more. And a lot of times I will stop, or quite often I stop and just set my wreath back and just kind of look at it and say, okay, do we need to stop here or do we need to keep going? Because I have a tendency to put too much stuff on everything I do. And with wreaths, you don't have to do that, you know. So I just want to show you here at the very top, I have those 2 flowers that are the exact same flower. And then you can see the eucalyptus under it. and then under that is the azaleas, and then we have that lamb's ear, and then we have the beautiful, what I call roses at the very bottom, and a little bit more greenery. But everything is cohesive. Everything matches. It goes with what's exactly on the opposite side. Now here I just added this one extra flower that I had toward that middle part of the wreath there. And I don't know, I just had it and I wanted to add it. Now, sorry my head's in the way. I did not like those leaves that was on the Temu flowers because they looked so cheap and they were just gaudy looking. And I just took scissors and cut the doggone things off. Then here, this is just like a little piece of some type of flower, and it's got them horrible leaves on it, and I pulled it off, and I'm just going to add it. At this point, I realized that we're getting pretty full, that we really don't need to do much more because it's looking great. But I did want, you know, several things at the very bottom, middle part of that wreath. I definitely wanted several things because that's where we're going to put our cross, and I just wanted it to be where your eye goes. Well, I've got my cross and my little sign out here, so I must have thought that I had plenty enough flowers, and I'm just going to add some hot glue at the bottom of my cross on the front and the back side because I am going to situate this down into those branches where it's going to stand straight up behind all those beautiful flowers. I just held on to it for a few moments until it took hold and stayed there by itself. Now, the last thing that I did to my wreath was take 2 of those little tumbling tower blocks, put some hot glue on them, and put them on the back of the cross so that it would stand up, and it just gave it a little added support. And I hope you like this wreath. I think it turned out beautiful.
You are my shelter from the storm. You keep me safe inside your wings. You are my comfort when life gets hard. You lead me to water to drink, and now I trust your gentle hand, even when I can't understand. I know your voice. I'm not afraid. Walking with me at the same pace.
Hey, if you're enjoying this video, I would like to ask you a couple things. Would you please hit the like button because it really helps me out on YouTube? And also, if you're coming over from one of the other channels, I just want to say welcome and thank you so much for stopping in to craft with me. If you would, hit that red subscribe button and become a part of our family. I would love to have you, and we always have room for more. Guys, this week we got our new addition to my channel, and I am so happy that we got him. His name is Archie, and he is a little mess. His name is actually Archer, and it has a beautiful sentimental meaning that's a part of our channel. I'll leave the link down below for y'all to go check out that video. Now let's talk about this collaboration that I'm a part of. We've got Miss Lisa, which is the Dollar Mom, and Miss Emily, who is Farm Charm Chic. Both of these ladies are amazing crafters, and if you watch crafting channels, I would be surprised if you didn't know them already. But if you have never seen them before, go check them out. I'm going to leave the playlist link down below so you can go watch both of their videos. Show them some love and subscribe to their channels. You're going to want to anyways because both are amazing. Now let's get into our second DIY. I got this picture at the thrift store for $2 or $3 a few years ago. It's just been sitting in my craft room. It's the music to the old rugged cross, and I think it's gorgeous. It's still in the plastic. It's never been used, and it had a Hobby Lobby tag on the back. So it's time that we give this baby some new life. I've always loved those pictures where that has the music in the background and then the main words to the song or the chorus is like in bold letters up in the front. And so that's what I want to do with this picture. And spoiler alert, it turns out beautiful. But the first thing I'm going to do is take my DIY paint in this off-white color called crinoline, and I'm going to give this frame 2 full coats all over. The next thing that I did was took my clear wax, which is a Dixie Belle brand, because I just haven't bought the DIY brand. And it's okay. I like it pretty good. It work in a pinch. But it's just clear wax. And I went all the way around this to seal this paint. Because with DIY paint, you know you need to seal it. It's a gorgeous clay-based paint. And I absolutely love it. It's my favorite paint. And I get my DIY paint and all my IOD supplies, all that good stuff from Lori at Milton's Daughter. And I'll leave her information in the description link so y'all can find her very easy. But it's basically www.miltonsdaughter.com. And if you use the code CraftyCathy10, you get 10% off your first order. And she has a lot of discounts. What I'm doing here is taking my DIY black wax, and I am very lightly going in the corners here where you see that beautiful like floral pattern that's all the way around this frame. And I'm very, very lightly going around the frame, and I'm going to use that baby wipe and wipe off that excess and just wipe off what I need. Now, the reason why I put down clear wax before I put down black wax is when you use the black wax, sometimes it's too much. It's just too black, you know, it's too vibrant. It's too much for your piece. And if you put down that clear wax first, it creates a waxy surface. So when you put down your black wax, it just makes it so much easier to control. So if you want to take more of it off, you can. You know, you can do it without putting down the clear wax first, but it's a lot tougher. You know, it just makes it easier to control how much of that black you actually want on there. And I knew I didn't want to bombard this with black because my paint is that beautiful crinoline color, and I want that to be the main color. You know, I don't want to cover it up. So all I did basically was go around. I kind of pounced down in the outer seams there where you see that beautiful floral pattern because I really wanted that to shine. And then when you brush over the top of it with that baby wipe, what happens is that black wax settles down in all those little nooks and crannies, and you're wiping off that top surface, and it just makes for the most beautiful work of art. Now, I purposely kind of streaked this also. I wanted the corner pieces to be a little bit darker, and then I did want it to be slightly streaked looking because I think that's beautiful, and it just made it very lightly distressed, and I absolutely love the way that this frame turned out. Now we're going to work on the piece that has the music on it. I have this beautiful transfer that was sent to me by Essential Stencils. It had a bunch of birds and little bird cages on it. And this is a little bird on a cherry blossom. And I thought it would be perfect on this piece. So what you do is you lay your transfer down and you use a special tool that they send you to rub it on the surface. Now, I couldn't find that little tool, so I just grabbed this small little piece of wood. And you just rub it back and forth as you are pulling that little piece of plastic up, and your transfer is just going to stay on whatever your project is. It's very easy, and then you use the piece of plastic that it came on to rub over the top of it, and that's called burnishing it. Now, I made this on my Cricut, and I don't use my Cricut very often. I used a font called, I think it's called Snail Round, to be honest with you, and it's spelled S-N-E-L-L. But the main words to the old rugged cross is, I will cherish the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. So instead of putting that whole word on there, or the whole sentence on there, I just put, I will cherish the old rugged cross. And so I'm just going to place this down. And guys, this turned out so beautiful. And then all I did was put this back in the frame. And I hope y'all like this one. I am so in love with this.
Whenever you're down, out in the cold, faithless and dark, your story's untold. Come take my hand and walk there with me. I know a place where we can be free. There is a light shining for you, guiding your way, helping you through. When shadows and gloom are all that you see, we'll find a place where we can be free. From the mountain top down to the deepest valley, hear a voice calling you. It's the rising sun shining in the darkest alley. Can't you see you will be free? I have been far, I have been wide, searching for peace, somewhere to
DIY number 3 is probably one of my favorite ones of this whole video. I have this, I guess it's like a plaque that I got from the Goodwill for $2.99 several years ago. It originally came from Hobby Lobby because it still has that tag on the back, and it's time for me to pull this thing out of my stash and do something with it. And then I have this beautiful statue of Jesus with a little child on his lap. And I'm thinking that we are going to make a beautiful centerpiece. I've got all these different florals, and I wanted white flowers again. And then I've got the lamb's ear, because every time I think of lamb's ear, I think of the Lamb of God, and there's nothing better to use in like a religious type DIY than lamb's ear. So the first thing that I did was take some of my Waverly white chalk paint, and I was going to paint both of these pieces white. And I started painting Jesus here, and then I thought, why don't I just take him outside and spray paint him? So actually, I took both of these pieces. I gave him a quick little coat here because I didn't want it to be distorted looking even after I spray painted it. But I just used that Rust-Oleum flat white spray paint, and I gave him about 2 coats, and then I sprayed at least 2 coats on that other piece. Now we're ready to put these pieces together, and I do the exact same principles with all of my floral stuffs. What you do on one side, you do on the other side. You know, what you do up high, you do down low. You just keep it, you know, with the same technique that I used on that wreath, and we'll be fine. I started off with this long garland that I had that has these white roses on it. And I quickly found that the way that it curled around it was just too much. And so I started cutting the roses down so I could just use the pieces. Sorry about that. That little puppy was hungry, and when he gets hungry, he acts like somebody's attacking him or something. So I've got him fed, and we're back on the project. So I cut the pieces down, and I put an even number of the roses on each side. The reason why I did this is because I'm going to place Jesus right in the center. And so I put like approximately 3 on one side and 3 on the other side. And here I'm showing you, remember how I said I do 3 different pieces of the greenery. We have the pieces that are attached to the rose here. That's one. The second one is going to be the leaves that are in these flowers that came from Temu. And the third one is going to be our lamb's ear. Now, nothing shouts like a religious type decor like lamb's ear, because when I think of lamb's ear, I think of the Lamb of God. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is take these beautiful azaleas, and they came from that Temu stem, and I'm going to place one little bundle of azaleas on the left and the other bundle just here on the right. And then I'm going to just make a little space here in the middle because, like I said, Jesus is going to sit there in the middle, and we really don't need anything in the middle. And the next thing I'm going to do is take this beautiful lamb's ear, and I'm going to cut it down, and I'm going to fluff it out really good and make sure all the leaves are turned in the right direction, because that's one thing about these from Walmart. They get turned around a little bit. So I place this one little bundle kind of in the center of all those roses on my right side, and I'm going to do the exact same thing on that left side. I cut my little lamb's ear right off at the bottom of the leaves there, and I'm just going to fluff it out, make sure all the leaves are going in the same direction, and I'm going to pick up just a little bit of that greenery and place it underneath just like I did that other one. And I want my azalea there to be laying right on the top of that lamb's ear. And I'm showing you here how I have the azaleas on the top. Underneath that is the lamb's ear, and then that beautiful white long rose stem. And then I place Jesus right there in the center. Now on this one, I did have one piece of this stem left, and I have no idea what kind of flower this is, but it's this little white ball looking creature, and it's so pretty. But I didn't have two of them, so I'm actually breaking my rule. I'm going to set it right there on that side of Jesus because it really looked good there. The next thing I'm going to do is take some of this fine Excelsior. I get this from Hobby Lobby. It's called Super Moss, but as you see, it's just a really fine Excelsior. And I'm just taking small pieces. Look how small these bits are. And I'm going to place one little bit right in the center on the right side and then the left. And then I'm doing the exact same thing in the front on the sides of Jesus. And then I thought that he needed just a little bit like at the front of his feet to totally complete this piece. And you'll notice I'm just using the smallest little bits of this Excelsior. I put a little bit on the very ends because I felt that it needed it, and it just brings a little something to the whole piece. And then I hold it up, and any pieces that look a little bit too long, I just simply cut them. And here's where, when I held it up, I noticed I didn't have enough under Jesus's feet, so I just put a little bitty bit more. And then off camera, I'm going to use what is actually like, it's a little unfinished piece of wood in the shape of a square, like a little coaster. And I'm going to place that under Jesus so that he sets up a little bit better on this. But this is finished, and it's so gorgeous.
I come to you in times of trouble. You're always resting at my door. Though I've wavered, you've been waiting. I'm the one you're looking for. Gratefully and humbly, I give you everything, and all that I can sing is thank you.
Here's our very last one. It's DIY number 4, and it's super quick and simple. I had made this little picture of this sublimated lamb, and it's got the cross behind it. I think it's so pretty. And I'm going to sublimate this onto this piece of drop cloth that I cut off. I have a sublimation printer and then the special sublimation paper, and I sell my sublimation prints in my Etsy store, which I will leave in the description box. I have a ton of different prints, And it actually comes to your house just like this print does, and it's an actual print that comes to your house. What you do is you lay your print down on whatever you're going to put it on, and then you use this special heat-resistant tape so that it stays in place whenever you place your iron on top. And then you put your parchment paper on the top of that. And then I've got my little Cricut iron here on 385 for 45 seconds. And I held it on there for 45 seconds. And then you just take your sheet off of there. I'm so silly. And then you just take your little parchment paper off. And then you take your actual sheet off there. It's hot, so you just have to be careful. And your print is always beautiful and perfect. Now, I put this on this little piece of drop cloth. The best thing to sublimate on would be polyester, up to you can do like a polyester blend, but it needs to be about 65% polyester. And that's what they say the best thing to sublimate on is polyester. But I like to do it on this drop cloth. It's not as vibrant as it would be on polyester, but I think it's just as pretty. So you also flip your piece over after you've, sublimated the front, and just hold your iron on it for about 10 to 15 seconds. And they say that it makes it just a little bit more vibrant. And that's all you have to do to sublimate. It's so easy. You just remember to put your picture face down, and you can't go wrong. And that's all there is to it. I needed my print to be like a 5x7 type size. So all you do is just make a small cut, and then the beautiful thing about drop cloth is when you make that cut, you can just rip it. And I ripped it down and made it more like the size of a 5x7. And then I just kind of pull my edges out a little bit because I love it when they fray. I think it's so beautiful. And I looked through my stash to figure out what I'm going to put this little lamb in. And I absolutely loved it in this picture frame. This is a 5x7 picture frame that I got for just $1 at the thrift store. But it needs to be painted. So I took the beautiful baby blue color called Prom Queen from DIY Paint. It is one of the biggest sellers. And you see why. It's just gorgeous. And I went all over this beautiful picture frame with just one coat. I took my DIY white wax and put it on this chippy brush. And I went all around this frame with that beautiful wax. And my goodness, I barely had to wipe any of it back because I absolutely loved the way that it looked. It just made that frame just pop. And it went so perfectly with that picture. So I just pulled my picture really taut and put it right back in that frame. And that's all I had to do for this DIY.
Everyone needs a shoulder to cry on. Everyone needs a helping hand. Everyone needs someone to rely on. Yes, everyone needs a friend. So let's come together, celebrate each other, stand united as one.
Hey, if you guys stuck with me through this whole video, I just want to say thank you so much for stopping in. And I'm so glad that you came and spent some time with me. I hope that you like these DIYs as much as I did. I absolutely had a blast making them, and I think they turned out so gorgeous, guys. And don't forget, please go and visit Miss Lisa, the Dollar Mom, and Miss Emily over at Farm Charm Chic. I'm going to leave that playlist down below. Go check them out. Subscribe to their channels. You're going to love them. And for those of you who didn't get to watch the video yet of the new puppy, I did put a couple of little clips of him here at the end where I was trying to go and get my work done, and he just kept yelling like somebody killed him because he is so spoiled and he wants to be held all the time. I'll be back on my regular schedule next week, and y'all have a blessed weekend. I love you. It's sad that I have to do this while I work. I know. He's in jail. I had to put him in his little crate and got him a good soft blankie he can hide in so Roxy will leave him alone. I know, it's terrible. And she's over here acting like a darn lion. We gotta clean your cage up. You over there pulling out daggum pee pads and everything else, going crazy. Look at her. She can jump all the way to the top of this. It's 3 foot tall. She thinks she's just... Her sister's something else. Yes, he does. Her something else. Yes, he is. That's my girl. You want to go out to work with Mama? And I'll put him in the big area. Oh, my goodness. Stop biting the cage, buddy. It's not the goodness gracious. I can't stand it. I can't do it. Buddy, Mommy's got to go to work. Listen, Gretchen. Mama's got to go to work. I have to. Okay, I have to. I have a video due tonight. I have to go to work. Okay, just a little bit and I'll be back. Okay. Love you. I love you. Get up in your blankie and just don't think about me for a little while, okay? Go night-night. Don't think about Mommy. Go deep-each.
That's why you used to do that. So we'd swing him on that swing.
To Kason.
I mean, yeah.
Remember that swing he bought him?
We got to get him a nod on him.
Now it's time to get another one. It was
We're on schedule to get the pool liner replaced again.
Lovely.
yeah, so that way we don't have to do that first cleaning. They just take put the new one in and we're good. Because that first cleaning is a pain. Oh my goodness! All that laughing.
He also has allergies. He sneezes all the time.
No.
I couldn't believe Kason did his